Hey guys, Bob Ostrom from BobTeachesArt.com here, and I want to let you in on a little secret, something that I use to literally cut my work time in half. So one half, so take one and then cut it and then divide it into two and you get one half. So instead of working this much time, you're only working this much time. How great would that be? I'm going to show you how that works. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at actions. How do actions work and how do they save us time? Well, actions basically are us recording functions that we use over and over again in a program like Photoshop or Illustrator and then playing them back when we need them. So basically we're automating our process, and by automating our process we're going to save a ton of time. Okay, so let's take a look at how it works. I'm going to go into the studio. You guys meet me inside. I'll see you there. So welcome to the studio. Here I am with my sketch scanned into Photoshop, and as you can see, I like to do my drawings in non-photo blue and then go ahead and trace them in red. In order to show this to a client though, what I'd like to do is clean this up a bit and give them a nice clean pencil sketch with no blue lines in it. In fact, what I'll do at the end here is change the red over to a gray pencil line so it looks just like I sketched it out. Now, I do this over and over again, and it only makes sense that instead of having to do each step individually, what I can do is set up an action. And the action will play back each of the steps that I record and save me a lot of time. I can even set it up so that I can play it back with a key command. So let's get started. All right, I'm going to hop over here to my actions panel. I'm going to pull this up front here. Now, you can see that I've created separate folders for each of my clients. So this helps me keep track of what I'm working on. So if you look at inside some of these, you can see there's a lot of actions inside of each of these folders. So I'm going to start by creating a new folder, and I'm going to name it to, by my favorite client, which is Bob Teaches Art. Okay, so we got that going for us, which is good. So I'm going to create an action which goes inside this folder. Now the nice thing about Adobe is they allow us to do this a couple of different ways. Just like all the other functions, there are usually 2 or 3 different ways you can do the same thing. So I could click on this little button down here, which creates a new action, or I could go over to my flyout menu here, select new action from the flyout menu. This brings up the new action menu. Okay, and so in this menu you can see the first thing that we want to do is we're going to name this. So I'm going to call this, let's call it Sketch Clean Up. All right. Now you can see I can also choose the set that it belongs in. Okay, so in this case I'm going to leave this in the Bob Teaches Art set since I set it up specifically for this lesson plan. If you look below the set, you can see we can even assign it a function key. In this case, the default is on none, but if I wanted to select one, I could go down here, find an F key that I can use for it. We'll select F12. Now you can see that I also have the option of adding Shift or Command to my function key. This expands the capacity of actions that I can save and then play back using my function keys. In this case, I haven't used F12 before, so I don't need to add Shift or Command. Let's go down here to color. I can actually color code this to make it easier to find. I'm going to click on red because that makes it easiest for me to see. And then I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Okay, you can see down here at the bottom of the actions panel there's a little red button that tells me I'm recording. Anything that I do in Photoshop now will be recorded and then I can play it back later. So let's put this guy aside for a second. I'm going to pull up my layers panel here and I'm going to start making some adjustments on this artwork. They will be recorded down here in my actions. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Hue and Saturation and I'm going to find the light blue color, which is cyan basically. I'm going to brighten that up as bright as it can go so I don't see it anymore. Then I'm going to go, you can see I've got a little bit of blue left over here. I'm going to find the blue in the menu. I'm going to pump that up as far as it'll go. So now I've got a pretty clean sketch here. Next thing I want to do is just convert this to gray. So I'm going to go to Master, just reduce my saturation all the way. Okay, and this looks pretty good. I think what I'll do is I'm going to pump this up just a little bit more so that the colors are a little punchier. When I say colors, I mean the black or white. I want this gray to be a little stronger. So I'm going to reach over here into my layers menu one more time. I'm going to pull up levels. I'm going to adjust my white so it's slightly brighter. Okay, and I do that by going towards the left. You can see that I've got a black, gray, and white in my levels. I'm going to take the gray and slide it towards the right a little bit. Now you'll notice the further I slide it, the darker my gray tones get. Now I don't want to get too crazy with this thing because it'll look awful, but I'm going to slide them over just a little bit. See, I started here. I'm going to go over to about here. I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to put that panel away for now because I'm done with it. Now you can see I'm still recording here. Okay, and I've got one last thing that I want to do. I'm going to go back to my layers panel. I'm going to, because I like the way this turned out, I'm going to go ahead and merge these all together. So I'm going to click the top one, hold down my shift key, and then merge them by saying Command E or Control E if you're on a Windows. And then I've got my finished product here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go back to my Actions panel. You can see that I'm still recording. Because I'm done, I can stop my recording. I'm going to hit this little stop button right here. Okay, and now my action is complete. If you look inside the action, you'll see each of these represents a command that I entered. Okay, I don't need to see all these, so I'm just going to click this little arrow key here, close this down. You can see that now my sketch cleanup is all set. So let's give it a try. I'm going to open up a new file that looks exactly the same as this when I started, and then I'll go ahead and play it back. Okay, so here is the file that I've rescanned again just so we can give it a little test. You can see that I've got the blues and the reds and everything in here. Now, instead of going back and doing each of those functions one at a time, I can hop over here to my Actions panel, go ahead and hit play or hit the F12 button. In this case, I'm just going to hit play. It'll run through each of those steps, and there's my finished project. Okay. There's one other little thing I want to show you about the Actions panel that's kind of cool. If you don't like the way that this is set up, you can actually go up here and say button mode, and then if you scroll down, you can go all the way down to the bottom. Here is the action that we created. You can simply click on this and it'll play through and do the exact same thing. Well, thanks for joining me. That's how you set up an action. I hope that you guys use action to cut your work time in half. If you want to find more lessons like this, join me over at bobteachesart.com. See you next time.